Last Saturday, I had a coaching session with one of my clients who's starting a business. And during that coaching session, as often happens when you're helping other people, is you have some major realizations by explaining and therefore clarifying what you think about something. And in that conversation, it became very clear to me that there has never been a better time in human history to start or grow a solopreneur business. And this realization has helped me really dial in my process for making these videos, for example, because I'm like, well, if I'm going to take the opportunity, now is the time to really go for it. So I'm, in a sense, putting my money, or at least my time, where my mouth is. But also, it brought up a huge question in my mind, because I can see the point. I can understand why so many people, I mean, I really get it. I can understand why so many people hate AI and what it represents, or what it can represent, or some of what it represents, or something. There's a lot of uncertainty for me here. And also, like, for example, I can see AI SLOP a mile off. And when I see it, I run 2 miles more. I can't stand it. I get frustrated with these weird machines that I speak to every day. And yet, I mean, like, I'm not going to go into the whole thing about all of the rights and wrongs of where it came from and what it does, all those kinds of things. I'm just talking about what it is now and how people are using it. And yet I use AI constantly on a daily basis. And I know that the way it is now, which is very different from the way it was a year ago, what it can do now, what it can do for us, me and you, could be, not is, could be a massive force, positive force for good in the world. And I'm not even talking about finding cures for disease and solving climate change and all that kind of stuff. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking at a much smaller micro level of the solopreneur, the business owner with a tiny team, people like you and I who are trying to express something about the world by creating value for others and attracting those people to those things that we create. And so, on the one hand, how can I find so much of what AI means and has meant and what it does so abhorrent? I mean, it really is that. At the same time as using it every day and recognizing how it can enhance and enable us in a very positive way. And yesterday evening, it suddenly hit me. And it's so obvious, you know, it's one of those things which is so obvious, it's almost like you wonder if it's worth saying. So here's the thing. If I look at what I've built since January, and bear in mind, AI has changed. It's a completely different bag of spanners. And actually, I was saying this to Fable yesterday, and that phrase was the thing that unlocked it for me. So AI is a completely different bag of spanners than it was just in November. What has happened since then, and I mean, there's a lot of people who do understand it, but I think the majority don't. They still think of AI as being chat or, a better Google. Chatbots, a better Google, trying to get it to do writing, creating images, all that kind of stuff. That's not what I'm talking about here. That is actually where most of the problems are. In fact, I'm not talking about existential risk or anything like that, by the way. Again, I'm keeping it very, very micro. I'm talking about in terms of people who are, creators, people who want to create, musicians, artists, writers, business owners, micro business owners. Yeah. So for us, the problem is in how the way it was before, because what it is now, what it can be now, what it is for me on a daily basis is something entirely different. So when I used it as a chatbot, when I used it as a thing to bounce off ideas, that was fine. That was okay. When I used it to try and remember how long to roast a chicken, right? That was one point at which my ChatGPT, I mainly used ChatGPT just to find out how long to roast a chicken. That was pretty much what I did. So anyway, that's okay. But when I tried to, and I'm sure we've all done it, get AI to do something instead of me, that was where it failed. Horribly. So for a while there, for the first few years, it was a load of experiments about trying to get it to do something for me instead of me, to replace me, or something to bounce ideas off, a thinking partner. One never worked, and I couldn't stand it, and I can see it everywhere, and I hate it. Yes, hate. The other, a thinking partner, I appreciated it. It helps me. I think more clearly. I don't believe what it says. My goodness me, no. In fact, it being wrong is the very thing that allows me to clarify my thinking. That's what it was before December 2025. That is not what it is now. Now, what it is for me is a machine that builds tools. It's a tool that creates the tools that I use to create things. If you look at this thing behind me right now, this is a backgrounds. It's one of the canvases that I have. And I've got all of these various different fields of different types of particles and stuff. And this is like a backgrounds canvas. So when I'm doing a video or something, I can create different backgrounds. Now, over here on the right-hand side, I have created this controls chip, which is a tool which allows me to change all kinds of different things about the background. Now, none of this, as I'm dragging this over, is AI, but there's no way I can change all kinds of things. I can make it go spin around quicker. What can I do? There we go, make it go. So, as you can see, so that's letting the motion just go wild, right? So I can do all kinds of things, but obviously, if you think about it, it's probably a bit too fast, isn't it? Making me feel a bit sick. So let's just turn that down a bit. So it's gone a bit bonkers now. Right. So let's get a bit closer. There we go. We're right in the center of it now. So creating this tool, for example, so this tool is on that I'm showing you here is on all of my different canvases. Okay. And so I can actually create new control chips out of this control chip. Okay. And all of like my different canvases are all kinds of different things. There are thinking tools. There are, I'll show them to you in another video, but there's like a Figma replacement. I've got a thing that I use for presentations. I've got a canvas that I use for brainstorming stuff. I've got all of these different, I've got specific processes I go through. I've got the Thoughtnado. I've got a website kind of page builder thing. All of these are tools which allow me to create things. And I built those tools with AI. And in using those tools, I'm not going back. So once I've built the tool, I'm not going back and forth with AI to build the web page. I'm actually using the tool that I created with AI to build the web page. What that is doing is it's saving my token usage, right? Because now I'm able to create thousands, if I want, of websites without having to go back and forth with the AI. I'm using the AI to build a tool to create things. So it saves token usage. It's a lot less frustrating. It also, I mean, it saves resources. It saves the environment, right? It allows me to create a tool that works for my mind and how I work. For example, I've always had a problem with branding, the idea of branding. And I had a realization of why that was recently, which is it's because, you know, the idea of brand colors, that does not make sense. I mean, it makes sense to me in a functional way for other companies. I get it, right? You see red, that certain red, and you think red and white, Coca-Cola. Yeah, Father Christmas, Coca-Cola. You see brown and gold, and you think, you know, UPS. So I get it, it works. But for me, I've never been able to interact with it. It's like I just have not gone there. And I thought it was because I didn't know about design. And I realized what it was is that my brain refuses to store just 2 or 3 colors as representing what I'm doing. Because what I'm doing it's too fixed. I can't do that. Like the way I see the world and the way I kind of try to move through the world is that everything is always changing. Everything is temporary. Even Mount Everest is temporary. The sun is temporary. Everything is ephemeral. It's not going to stay here all the time. And if I choose just certain brand colors, I'm fixing this thing, which I just refuse to be fixed. So what I did was created this tool, XYPad thing, the idea of which I got from music production, which it doesn't matter where you put this slider thing on the XY axis, it will always compute colors that work together. And if I want it really vivid at the bottom here, you drag it to the bottom. If I want it much more muted and black and white seeming, I can move it to the top. If I want it light, it's over here. If I want it dark, it's over there. If I want it to kind of be a bit softer, so it's less contrasty, it goes to the top. If I want it more crisp, it goes to the bottom. I don't have to go back and forth with a bloody AI in order to change any colors of any page ever again. I don't have to select a particular brand color. Yeah. If you like, the brand is this. Okay. Now, I don't know whether that's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, but I can tell you what it is. It's very me. And I mean, this thought that, or this idea, this realization that what AI really, I think, could be for creators, and it's almost like the distinction that I've ended up, it's like what's emerged is I don't use AI to create things. I use AI to create the things that create the things. My AI system, all of the things in there are a system to create things. So it's a thing to create things. It's actually a thing to create the things that create things, in fact. So, we're getting really meta now. So that was pretty much the first thing I built with AI when I realized it could build, was the system to create the things to create things. I don't use AI to write. I might use it to, as a thinking partner to bounce back and forth about ideas, or check my facts sometimes, or, that kind of thing. But I don't use it to write at all. I don't use it to script videos. You might have noticed I'm going all over the place today. I don't use it even to create images. I don't use it for my thumbnails. I don't use it to write emails to people. Any email you get from me is never written by an AI. Not because I've got some kind of philosophical thing about it. I just don't think it's very good at it. Right? In a world where we can now create anything super quickly, one of the most valuable things that we have is the ability to connect with other human beings. So I'm not going to use a tool in place of that connection. I'm not going to get something to do that for me. But what I can do is I can create a tool that allows me to, gives me the space to write, gives me the time to write, gives me the space and time to think, right? That allows me to be more human, to connect more, to express more, to be more unique. That is, for me, what AI is. And that's why I can say in the same breath, I hate AI slop. And I know that AI has created the conditions where now is the very best time in human history to start or grow a solopreneur business. So with all that said, let's do that and keep on moving onwards and upwards.